The goal of this video is to make it easier for you guys to decide which ascension you're gonna go for when it comes to the witch. Now keep in mind, this is an important decision because once you do pick this ascension, you're not gonna be able to reset. Currently, that's how it is in early access. That might change in the future, but don't worry about it. I'm gonna break everything down as simple as possible. We're just gonna focus on these two ascendancies. And even if you're a completely new player that is just getting into the PoE universe for the first time, this video is gonna answer a lot of your questions. I'm also gonna be uploading a lot of builds and guides and a lot of informational content for all of the new players. So if you guys do enjoy this one, and only if you do, drop likes up to the channel, as it really does help me out a lot. And now let's get right into it. Another thing to keep in mind is that we're going to have a total of 8 points when it comes to Ascension. The first skill is going to be Life Remnants. Skills gain a base life cost equal to base mana cost. Drinks the blood of your enemies to restore your life. While active, enemies you kill have a chance to spawn a Life Remnant. And critically hitting a target spawns a Life Remnant every few seconds. Picking up a Life Remnant grants your life, which can overflow maximum life. What is very important here is that it also says critically hitting a target spawns a Life Remnant every few seconds. Picking up a Life Remnant grants your life, which can overflow maximum life. And the reason this is very important is because one of the biggest questions was, how are we going to get these Life Remnants if we are in a boss fight, right? If there's no enemies around you, you're not killing anything, how will they drop? But now we know that they do drop on critical hits, and this is gonna make boss fights so much better on this class. And not only that, but it synergizes really well with some of the upcoming nodes. Also, you gotta keep in mind that this is pretty much the opener. You're gonna have to start with this regardless, so this is like the nature of the Bloodmage in general. So if that's something that you do not enjoy, make sure to think about it well, because you're not gonna be able to reset your ascendancy, right? So do keep that in mind. Now, the second one that is very interesting to me personally is Vitality Siphon. 10% of spell damage leached as life. And there's a bunch of things that you can do on the big passive skill tree to make that even better. Obviously, and increase the amount of life leached. And you can also make it instant as well. So that's going to be another really cool thing to keep in mind if you're trying to go for a life leech build, which I am going to be doing that most likely. Then we have open source. Your curse have infinite duration. This is very interesting because curses, I feel like, are going to be very, very, very strong in PoE 2. And there's just a bunch of skills that are going to work very well with the builds on the Bloodmage, especially when it comes to curses. For all the new players, curses are just debuffs. It's going to lower the resistances of the enemy to a specific type of damage. And in PoE 2, you can only have one curse on an enemy at a time. If you try to apply a second curse, it will just overwrite that first curse, and that's about it. The curses are going to have their own durations, and that is when the open source comes in. You're not going to have to worry about that duration at all. You're just going to curse a target and you don't have to think about it ever again. So if you're looking for a build where you're going to be utilizing the curses a lot, you know, having the ability to have infinite duration sounds wild. It's going to be up to you if you want to use this or not, because there are some other good options here, as you will see here in a minute. Then we have blood barbs. Gain 10% of damage as extra physical damage. Elemental damage also contributes to bleeding magnitude, which can be huge depending on what kind of build you're creating. And gore spike is something that I'm going to be very interested in. 1% increased critical damage bonus per 40 life. If I remember correctly, this used to be 20 life, right? And what that would mean is that essentially this got nerfed, because I remember it was 20 life. So if you have, let's say, 4,000 life, you're going to be sitting at 100% increased critical hit damage. Now, keep in mind that you can overflow your HP to double with the life remnants, which means that if you're managing that, and let's say you can sit at like 200, 300, I don't know how much HP we can stack. Nobody really knows that at the moment, depending on the, you know, the skills, or we don't have all the skills on the passive tree, as you know. Some of them just, you know, they don't show anything. So we have no information how they're going to work fully. So we don't really know what the number of HP is going to be overall that we can reach in order to utilize all of these things. But regardless, always having the ability to sit at some kind of huge critical damage bonus stack is really nice. So I will be going for this, I think, but we'll talk about which ones I'm going to pick here in a second. Next one is Sunder the Flesh. Base critical hit chance for spells is 15%. Now, there is something that you can do, for example, to make this even better Like if you take a look at some of the spell buffs here. Yeah, for example, this one, sudden escalation, 16% increased critical hit chance for spells. So you can use that combination there. And there's some other ones also that you can use to increase that base critical hit chance for your spells, which could be really fun because critical hits also, as you guys saw, will be spawning the remnants, right? So this is an important part of the build. This is what it's pretty much stands on. Then we have grasping wounds. 25% of life loss from hits is prevented. Then that much life is lost over 4 seconds instead. And then we have crimson power. Gain energy shield from equipped body armor as extra maximum life. Once again, if you're trying to stack a lot of life, this could be good as well. As you guys can see, there's a bunch of options here, right? Now, for me personally, this is what I'm thinking. I'm definitely, we're going to go with 1. We don't really have a choice there. Then we're going to go to 2. That's going to be 4 points out of 8, which is 10% of spell damage leached as life. And then we're going to have a few options. What we can do is go 5 and then 6 as well, which would mean we're going to pick up Gore Spike, 1% increased critical damage bonus per 40 life, and also Sunder the Flash. Base critical hit chance for spells is 15%. I do think that if you're trying to get a little bit more boss fight consistency in terms of damage, the Sunder the Flash will be helpful because it is tied to spawning a life remnant. And if you don't have your minions up, you know, that could be something that will just make your DPS phases, your boss fights much more comfortable. So that is something that to keep in mind. So I think what I'm going to do is 1, 2, 5, and 6. So this is most likely what I'm going to go for. However, if you don't want 6 and you don't think that the base critical hit chance for spells of 15% is worth it, you can ignore 6 and go for 3. Your curses have infinite duration, right? Because let's be honest, you can't really go wrong with that. 7 is also something you can go for. I wish you could go for 8, right? Because the fact that you can gain energy shield from equipped body armor as extra maximum life essentially means that you are going to be doing more damage because we are going to be using Gore Spike. But we can't do that. That would mean that I have to give up Gore Spike itself in this case, or not go for 2, which is the Vitality Siphon, which I really want to have because I'm going to try to build around it. So yeah, or you can go for 3 as well, which is going to be, as I said, curses. Okay, now let's take a look at the Infernal. I'm going to take away my camera for this one because this has like a different kind of location for the buff, so I don't want it to interfere, okay? So the first one is Altered Flesh. It says 20% of cold damage takes as fire damage, 20% of lightning damage taken as fire damage, 20% of physical damage takes as chaos damage. As a node that you pick just for what it does, I think it's going to be pretty decent. It's going to give you very interesting kind of elemental protection, and that's essentially what it's going to be. It's going to turn your character tankier if that's what you're looking for. This is a great node. But when it comes to like synergy with the other ones, which in this case is going to be 2, 3, and 4, and we're going to get to them in a second, there's not really much there. So you can look at this as a standalone kind of node. The second one, third one, and fourth one, right? By the way, like all of these you guys can see are like right over here on the left, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are going to depend on which one suits you more. Now, the way 2, 3, and 4 works is they take away 25% of your HP. Just to make the math easier, let's say you have 4,000 HP. So 25% of that would be 1,000. So you're going to be moving around with 3,000 HP. But instead, you get the offer of +1 to maximum spirit per 25 maximum life, or +1 to maximum mana per 6 maximum life. And the next option is +1 to maximum energy shield per 8 maximum life. So depending on what kind of build you're creating, you might go for these. But I really do believe that overall on the Infernal, there is better options as we're going to move forward here, and you'll see what I mean. So I don't know, maybe there's, with a lot of testing, you know, and a lot of build crafting and some ideas, we can probably find something that these will be very useful for. But as I said, moving forward, you'll see that there are some really cool ones that you're most likely going to go for first. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Number 5 is Demon Form. Shapeshift into a demon, vastly boosting the power of your spells. You gain Demon Flame every second you remain in demon form, causing your life to be lost at an ever-increasing rate. Revert to human form if you reach 1 life. Use a skill that isn't a spell or reactivate this skill. Now, chat did send me this. So in this picture, you guys can see the cooldown on demon form is going to be 20 seconds. And then you see right here, it says 16% increased cast speed while in demon form, plus 4 to level of all spell skills while in demon form, lose 1% of life per second per demon flame, and then deal 10% increased spell damage per demon flame. Now, the reason this is very interesting, guys, is you can turn this build into an absolute like glass cannon, because you have number 6, Mastered Darkness, maximum 10 demon flame. So what that means, guys, first of all, you got to know 16% is just like a static increase cast speed while you're in the form. And then obviously you get plus 4 to level of all spell skills, which is awesome. But these two right here will scale off of the demon flame, right? So if you're at 10 demon flame, that means that you're losing 10% of life per second in your demon form, which is wild. That's a lot of damage taken. So that's why I was saying in our previous videos that if you do go this route, you need to have a lot of HP stacking or some kind of crazy life sustain in general to stay alive. But if you do manage that, that is wild, because you're also going to be getting 100% increased spell damage when you're in demon form, 10% per demon flame. But if we're running at 10, that's 100% increase of spell damage. So you can see how you're going to be doing very high damage. Also, obviously with the trees, passive trees, you can increase your cast speed even further. So you're going to be casting very fast and dealing 100% increased spell damage, which is fun, and it's going to be very strong at the same time. Okay, so I do feel like this one is, in my opinion, going to be one of the more potent ones. Especially, you got to imagine you have some other ways which we're going to cover here that will be great for clearing, in my opinion, and I'll tell you a few ideas that I've had. But when it comes to boss damage, like going into this form and just destroying and just dealing a lot of damage could be something that is really strong. So we don't know exactly, obviously, nobody does. We got to test it out and everything. But on paper, at least, this looks very, very interesting, okay? Now, next on is the Pyromantic Pact. Maximum mana is replaced by maximum Infernal Flame. Gain Infernal Flame instead of spending mana for skill costs. Take maximum life and energy shield as fire damage when Infernal Flame reaches maximum. Lose all Infernal Flame on reaching maximum Infernal Flame. 10% of Infernal Flame lost per second if none was gained in the past 2 seconds. So this is going to be like a game within a game. You're going to replace your mana, and the one way to battle this kind of, as you guys can see right here, it says 10% of Infernal Flame lost per second if none was gained in the past 2 seconds. So you got to kind of time it to play this smart. But if you're looking for a build where you're not going to be dependent on mana and so on, this one is going to be for you. Also, keep in mind, it says take maximum life and energy shield as fire damage when Infernal Flame reaches maximum. Okay, so once again, a game within a game. There's going to be some cool combinations here with this, though. And I think number 9 is the one that I would go with personally if I was going to Infernal. But first, let's take a look at number 8, Bringer of Flame. While not on low Infernal Flame, all damage from you and allies in your presence contributes to ignite, chance, and magnitude. Number 9 says, while on high Infernal Flame, you and allies in your presence gain 20% of damage as fire damage. So once again, this is also going to depend on what kind of builds you guys are running. But if you're going for a direct fire build, I feel like this is going to be more interesting. This could be a pick that is simple, but increases your damage and makes it more interesting as well. But my favorite so far, guys, is the Loyal Hellhound. And I have an idea for this also, so I'm going to let you guys know. And please let me know what you think, okay? So first of all, 20% of damage from hits is taken from your Hellhound's life before you. Guys, this is great, right? I think that towards endgame in PoE 2, it's more going to be about like survivability as well. You can build into a glass cannon, but I do think that having the ability to survive a little bit more is going to come in handy, right? I really do believe that. So this could be very, very nice. But on top of that, take a look at this. Summons a reviving Infernal Hound, which ignites enemies near it. The Hound takes a portion of damage from hits for you. Well, we already knew that, but guys, it ignites enemies near it. Now, what I was thinking, and this could be a crazy idea, but I'm going to throw it out there, right? What if you call in the minions, they shoot these gas clouds or whatever, and then your Hellhound runs in, ignites them, and now you have an explosion going. That could be an incredibly fun build, and obviously you can build upon that with the gems and so on, and it can become absolutely ridiculous. And finally, we have a Grinning Immolation. Become ignited when you deal a critical hit, taking 15% of your life and energy shield as fire damage per second, 30% more critical damage bonus. Here's an interesting thought about the Grinning Immolation. I was thinking, will this be able to proc with demon form? Now, the reason I think it will actually is because you can pick it while you have demon form, as you guys can see, like 5 and 11, which means that in that case, while you are in demon form, this is crazy though, because like you're gonna destroy your HP at that point. But if you can build around it, you would get extra damage, right? Because it does say that become ignited when you deal critical hit, taking 15% of your life and energy shield as a fire damage per second, and then 30% more critical damage bonus. So if you can somehow like create this amazing life sustain build, this with the demon form could go even crazier. Once again, I don't know how those things are going to work together, but on paper, it looks like it would, and it looks like it would be insane. So whenever you guys try this out, make sure to let me know how it goes, because I'm actually very interested. So now let's look at a scenario where you're just starting to play, you're leveling up. What would be the first one that I'd pick? Now, you guys know the first time I saw Infernal, all of you guys that were there on stream, right away, your boy was like, I'm going for Infernal Hound. Like, this is just too good. It adds survivability, it ignites. There's literally no reason not to use this, bro. Like, and it looks cool too. Let's just be honest. If you're going for a minion slash fire mage kind of, or fire witch, whatever you want to call it, build, this is the one for you. Like, this is what I would do. I would grab this. It would increase my survivability, not just because of the 20%, but because it's a minion in general. The more minions you have, that will add to your survivability because they are fighting for you while you're using your spells, okay? So this is a no-brainer, especially if it works with the minions, as I was saying, where it ignites the gas and everything. That could be an absolute banger. So this is what I would do. Now, the second one is pretty straightforward, right? Like, I don't think, honestly, I mean, you could probably not use it, but I would assume that most people who are going to play this class anyway are going to go for demon form. First of all, it's going to give you a lot of single target damage as well. Visually, people really like how it looks. And especially if you combine it with Master Darkness, the buffs that you can get that we showcased with the information that we have, right? I think it's really strong, dude. I think this could be very powerful. So probably this is what I would do. And so that would make us what? Like go for a Hellhound, which is number 10. So 1.2 points right here. Then we would go for demon form. So 3 points, 4 points right here. Then we need number 6, which is we're just going to follow down from 5 to 6. And then we have 2 points left. So we went for 10, 5, and 6. And that leaves us with what? 7, 11, or 1. That's pretty much it, right? That you're not going to have any more options. So depending on which one you prefer, you're just going to go for that. That is the Infernal breakdown. I hope you guys enjoyed this, man. Make sure to let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, okay? I'm very excited. I hope this breakdown helped you guys to decide which one you're going to go for. Once again, thank you so much for all the love and support. Stay positive, stay disciplined, and I'll see you all on the next one. I mean, we literally have the best community of all time.